up, rise and shine. It's a brand new day with Mona News. It's time to have your say. She's got the scoop, the stories, all the latest trends. Mo's got the news, let's hear it. My dear friends, from politics to showbiz, no story's too small. Mo covers it all. She's got the inside call, her voice so smooth, like honey in the summer sun. With Mo on the mic, you know the news is always fun. Mornings with Mo, the best newsy news in the world. With her style so classic and her stories unfurled, from morning till night, she's got us in the know. Turn on your radio, let Mo's newsy news flow.
Good morning, everyone. It is the 7th, and you know what? We're getting this much closer to pumpkin pie and pecan pie, so we usually have both, so no one has to choose. Good morning, Wolfram. Thank you for your modly mod duties. Welcome, Boss Lady. And a dog named Boo. Good morning. Good morning. Christine, good morning. Kiki K, good morning. Jess Teresa and Christy Marie. And Vince Clortho and Flash Fan, Squid Pro Quo. Awesome. Thank you for promoting that. Gonna give you like the real kind of inside deal. It'll be funny because oh my gosh, the story of how I got hurt is hilarious. Audio Coffee, good morning. Good morning, Shantae's Inferno, Derek, and everyone. So I have some good news or some bad news, depending on how you feel that Raygun, gave everyone in humanity a chance to feel better about their dancing skills, which honestly, I applaud it. As a terrible dancer with no rhythm, I feel seen. But Raygun says she's done with competitive breaking after viral Olympic fame. I think you mean infamy, but that's just me. Oh, I am sorry, Disney nerd. It's okay if you're not feeling too great this morning. This is a place where you can kind of come and turn, that at least that part of your brain off, which is always nice. Even as a political junkie myself, I like having this. I can turn my brain off. You will notice I have nearly nothing from the New York Times because they had barely anything that wasn't political. So we are cooking with fire. We've got a lot of stories today. Rachel Raygun is moving on from competitive breakdancing a few months after becoming the sport's viral star. Yahoo Sports. Viral lolcow might be a different or a more accurate sentence. At the 2024 Paris Olympics, the 37-year-old was reflecting on her experience during an interview on Today FM's Jimmy and Nath show in Australia, where she revealed she was done with breaking competitively. Well, ma'am, I'm 40 and I don't know that I could even attempt to do the routine that you did. So, everyone's got to retire sometime. Quote, I still break, but I don't compete. I'm not going to compete anymore. I was going to keep competing for sure, but that seems really difficult to me to do now to approach a battle. Yeah, I mean, I still dance, I still break, but that's like in my living room with my partner, you know? Maybe next date night, I just need to shove all the couches and Mr. Mo and I will put down the cardboard, get a boom box, put some Run DMC on, and we're going to break dance just for Rachel. Gunn received international derision in August when social media got a hold of her break routine, which featured a number of moves that could be described as god-awful or unorthodox. The article said unorthodox, but god-awful could be a better representation. Gunn didn't score a point in her 3 matches of the opening round, but left with her head held high. Okay, Copium, Yahoo Sports. Controversy followed, with some observers fixating on Gunn's life and career to a degree that led her to publicly request that her family be left alone. The Australian Olympic Committee stood by her after a petition requested an investigation as to how she made the Olympic team, and another one demanding she apologize. Gunn complained about the conspiracy theories again Wednesday. They're not conspiracy theories. I've seen the video of the other chick that you battled against to get to go to the Olympics. She did better than you, but your husband was also your coach and the judge. These are not conspiracy theories. These are like putting the dots together and seeing they form a line. But that's just my opinion. In an odd twist, Gunn was named the #1 female breaker after the Olympics due to better results in other competitions. She's ranked number 17 as of Wednesday. The sport was also dropped from the Olympic program in Los Angeles for 2028 to the surprise of few. The major reason Gunn stopped competing was the amount of eyeballs she faced if she ever stepped into the arena again. Quote, I think the level of scrutiny that's going to be there and people will be filming it, it will go online. It's just not going to be the same thing. It's not going to be the same experience because of everything that's at stake, meaning people are still going to laugh at your hilariously bad dance moves. There is a reason Mo doesn't get super tipsy on stream because slightly more tipsy Mo definitely thinks she's got some moves. And I look like Elaine from Seinfeld. I'm like, it's bad. It's horrible. And I don't want to subject the world to it. Ma'am, you're a bad dancer. It's okay. Join the rest of us who simply, do the sway back and forth middle school thing with their partner. It's all right. Not every one of us can be, Ginger Rogers. Sometimes you just don't have rhythm. Let it go, ma'am. Let it go. In an update, the Delphi defense has rested its case, kind of surprisingly, very shockingly, with a lot of, not terribly long. Now, that might be a factor of them not being able to introduce any of the third-party evidence that they have lined out in the Franks memo and other sort of things. But, this one, I have no idea, you guys. Sometimes I get a gut feeling. I mean, obviously, Sarah Boone isn't hard. I don't need a crystal ball, Sarah Boone. I'm not a soothsayer. But this one has me on edge, you guys. Richard Allen's defense team rested its case in a surprise move moments after hearings began Wednesday at the Carroll County courthouse in Delphi. Hours later, around 2:15 p.m. Wednesday, prosecutors finished questioning their last rebuttal witness, and the court adjourned for the day so both sides could prepare for closing arguments, starting at 9 a.m. Thursday. Attorneys for the state, then for Allen, will spend hours weaving together all the evidence they presented before jurors, and jurors start deliberations to reach a verdict. Now, Indiana is different. And I know that Andrea Burkhart and Defense Diaries have talked about this, but I just got done. I have personal experience on this one. Juries in Indiana are allowed to talk to each other about the case, but not deliberate all through the trial. So this is quite different than most juries in other states. You are not allowed to talk about the case. You cannot start any sort of conversations about the case. In Indiana, that is much different. So this jury has been able to talk to each other about every single witness when they go on break, when, they have lunch, if they are sequestered. So this is going to be a very different deliberation, I believe, simply because of that factor. Allen, 52, is accused of killing 2 young girls who went missing February 13th, 2017, and were found dead the next day. He was arrested in 2022 and faces 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of murder while kidnapping Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Now, There has been a lot of talk. Regardless of how you feel about the case, you should feel upset that the defense is not allowed to bring in information that they found in the state's discovery through the Franks motion. I will continue to read the Franks motion, not today, but tomorrow. I need to give my voice a little bit of a rest. And unfortunately, with having to go, Griffin Wayne, you are no more snacks.
He was going in the right side.
Sorry, I did a big Aldi's stock up yesterday, and I buy like triplets of everything for snacks, like granola bars and Pop Tarts and things like that. And if I don't keep, the duplicates in my room, my family, my children are like a herd of locusts, and they will be gone, and I will have to go back to Aldi's, and I just cannot go back to Aldi's right now because I have to go to Walmart. But he was blaming it on Dingus, who also got himself stuck. Yes, the youngest, most feral has a doctor's appointment, so he's like, "I don't have to go to school. I can do whatever I want." He's like, "Can I take my pants off?" I was like, "No, you have a doctor's appointment. You are not able to." And just in case you wondered, if the chaos goes away because, all the children are at school, no, no. It never fails. When I used to be able to run on the treadmill, I would be like at that last half mile where you're like, I can do this. I can do this. This is hard. Why do people run? I hate people that run. What is going on here? Why am I running? And then a child, a child would come in a demanding voice, "Can you open my snack pack pudding?" And I'm like, "I have 5 minutes left. I don't even want to do this 5 minutes, but I've made a commitment to be healthy, damn it. No, I cannot stop to open your snack pack." 5 minutes? I'm gonna die to death of starvation. And it's like, "No, you're not gonna die to death." And then, my youngest, most feral, to encourage me to work out would be like, "Gosh, you look like that's hard and you're all sweaty and gross. I'm not opening your snack pack now either." Now, what I will say about this case is that I think both sides, if they would give each other a chance to talk, at the bottom of it, both sides want justice for this little girl. And I understand how people can believe that Richard Allen's guilty because of the confessions. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the evidence the state hasn't proven to me. But what it boils down to at the end is that these little girls deserve justice, and regardless of whatever any of us think, it doesn't matter. It matters what that jury thinks, and they've gotten to see all the evidence that was allowed to come into trial. So it is, it's one that I have no idea. I don't predict juries. I mean, Sarah Boone was easy. You didn't have to be Miss Cleo or even contact her on a Ouija board to get that one. But juries are a strange and mysterious thing, and who knows what's going to stick out to them. And hopefully, we can get some answers because so many things have been sealed. I have Jedi Jess looking at like, "Oh, is this unsealed? Is this unsealed?" And she's like, "Nah, nothing's unsealed." So there you go. They will be doing closing statements. We will get to listen, or people in the courtroom will get to listen to Nick McClelland or Randall from Recess, babble on for hours and hours. It will be daunting and long. Now, I did not know that this was a mystery, but apparently the most mysterious song on the internet has been identified after 17 years. No, no, not the keyboard. Down, sir. I'm getting your cat tree made today. For the last 17 years, an army of worldwide online sleuths obsessively tried to figure out the title of what has been dubbed, quote, "the most mysterious song on the internet." Now they have the answer after a chance discovery by one intrepid researcher who triumphantly reported this breakthrough in the online forum Reddit. It's called, quote, Subways of Your Mind, and it was recorded by a little-known 1980s German band called FEX. The former band members were absolutely overwhelmed by the news. 68-year-old Michael Heydrich, who played keyboard and guitar and sang backup vocals for FEX, told Der Spiegel magazine. The band had been oblivious to the online phenomenon, he admitted. How the mystery unfolded. The mystery began in 2007 when a German brother and sister uploaded a track online they digitized after originally recording it as teenagers on a cassette from the radio. As Rolling Stone reported in 2019, the tape mostly featured songs from popular bands like XTC and The Cure, as well as one particular song that remained a mystery until now. The German siblings asked for help to identify it, and audiophiles soon took up the challenge. The track didn't show up in any musical databases, but online sleuths tried to work out what instruments could be heard and analyze the lead singer's accent. Initial attempts to identify the song, soon classified by many as being a 1980s new wave genre, yielded little. It was only when the track was uploaded onto Reddit in 2019 that global interest exploded. A Reddit subforum called R the Mysterious Song attracted tens and thousands of members, and the hunt was reported on German media and beyond. The big breakthrough came earlier this week when a user called Margin1412 said he identified the song as Subways of Your Mind. He said he came across a former FEX member while researching an event for up-and-coming bands that had been organized in the 1980s by a popular broadcaster in northern Germany. The Reddit user wrote that he reached out to members of what was a four-piece outfit from the northern city of Kiel, who sent him a version of the mystery song and revealed its long sought-after name. Margin1412 wrote, quote, after I emailed him back that the song is actually quite famous and a lost song, he asked me not to go public with it until he spoke with his old band members. In the meantime, though, the song did get registered at the German Performance Rights Organization, or GEMA, and people found out about it. But I'm happy to say that the band members agreed for me to go public with it. Heydrich, who is still a musician, told Spiegel that it was the first time he'd heard about the massive search effort. I thought it was amazing that someone was interested in music by a band that was only successful regionally, if at all, and that was over 40 years ago, he said. Heydrich, who lives in Munich, said band members now want to reissue Subways of Your Mind and are trying to track down the original recording of the song. Their success may have been decades in the making, but he said, for us, it's just come suddenly. There you go. I am sorry, Australia. In addition to never having Raygun, dance again, apparently there are mysterious black balls that are washing up on Sydney Beach. There are foul-smelling little fatbergs. Way to take a joke and call them, fatbergs? What the hell? The mystery of black balls that washed up on Sydney's most iconic beaches last month has now been solved, and it's more disgusting than you could ever imagine. Australian beachgoers were turned away from 7 beaches last month after lifeguards spotted thousands of black spheres, prompting closures and cleanup efforts. A team of scientists at the University of New South Wales has revealed that the black balls, initially thought to be made out of tar, are actually mini fatbergs. Oh, this is gross. Okay. Made up of human waste, methamphetamine, crystal, human hair, fatty acids, food waste, among other hundreds of vile and befuddling substances. They smell absolutely disgusting. They smell worse than you ever smelt before, said lead investigator Associate Professor John Beeves. A New South Wales Environmental Protection Authority first warned Sydney residents to avoid swimming or touching the balls. Do not touch balls when you're swimming. On October 17th, after they were spotted at 7 beaches, including the city's famed Bondi Beach. At the stage, their contents were a mystery, and local officials ordered a series of tests to find out what they were and what they came from. Initial testing suggested they were made of unrefined oil, potentially from an oil spill. However, further testing indicated a different, more disgusting composition. The balls are consistent with fatbergs, congealed masses of fat, oils, and greasy molecules that can accumulate in sewage. Blick. Now I see why the sharks are attacking. You basically have been sending fatbergs into their water for years. It's the revengeing. I can kind of see it. I wouldn't want to be swimming in them. Well, thanks for pointing out the obvious, Donald. Donald told News 9. Fatbergs come in all shapes and sizes. In 2021, a massive 330-ton fatberg wreaked havoc in Birmingham, UK, when it clogged a city sewer for weeks. These Sydney fatbergs are no ordinary fatbergs, though. The blobs contain everything from, well, human waste to medication to recreational, pharmaceuticals. Where these gross balls came from still remains a mystery. The balls originated from a source that released mixed waste, according to media release from the EPA Wednesday. Authorities have considered several possible causes, such as a shipping spill or wastewater overflow. However, due to the complex composition of the balls, we need a ballologist. Please, anyone. Is anyone a ballologist? Oh my God. I'm sorry, this shouldn't be so funny, but it's manscaping for Australia. There you go. I guess they will be getting a ballologist to figure out where these came from. I'm sorry. Oh, Lord. In what the Hades is going on here? What in the election shenanigans is going on here? Because this dude should not be getting reelected. Quote, just talking. A township supervisor gets reelected after being arrested for trying to sext with a minor. This is where you should have been elected to. One ticket, free admission to Snake Island. A township supervisor in Michigan was reelected Tuesday, running uncontested against a pair of write-in candidates just months after he was busted in a sting operation for allegedly sexting a minor. Democrat Ken Fletcher, 58, is currently facing felony charges of accosting a child for immoral purposes and using a computer to commit a crime. But that didn't stop him from winning back his longtime Delta Township supervisor seat on Election Day. Fletcher, who resigned from his post after being arrested in September and serving as supervisor for over a decade, was allegedly caught by Michigan State Police's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force and deputies with the Eaton County Sheriff's Office after he began messaging with law enforcement who was posing as a 15-year-old on a dating app Grindr. Okay, so this man has not been tried, so he is innocent in the eyes of the law until they bring the evidence. But I think they might have receipts, sir. So you might serve for a little bit, but then you'll be in the prison if this happens. Now, Fletcher's arrest report, first obtained by NBC's Lansing affiliate WILX, alleges he was having smexy conversations with the officer and planned to meet up with him. Allegedly, he claimed he was quote unquote just talking with them, per WILX. With the court date set for November 12th, Fletcher must now decide whether he plans to give himself a second chance as supervisor or he will stay far away from the position. Michigan state law had required him to stay on the ballot. Quote, he can vacate the office if he does not get sworn in by then. He could get sworn in and resign, or obviously he could get sworn in and stay, said Mary Clark, Delta Township's clerk and acting supervisor. Fletcher's lawyer, Mike Nichols, told the station his client will weigh his options. Quote, the biggest question I think for Ken Fletcher is it the right thing for me, but the community, Nichols said, and am I still the best person for the job? No. You tried to creepo talk. You know, you are alleged to be a potential PDF file, okay? No, you are not the right person. Hell, I'd be a better person, and I don't even live in Michigan, and I don't know how to run a township, but I would be a better person. So, no. No, it's not. Now, in another sort of election-related thing, but not quite, political, except in the way that it might affect this, and I would just like to confess that when this was happening, I wanted this woman's hair so very much. I wanted the ramen noodle frizz poof so much that I got a perm. My mom got me a perm. It lasted all of 2.5 days. I have what they called, I didn't wash my hair. I did not do anything wrong. I followed uh, the directions, but I have what's called glassy blonde hair or something. My hair just it it was like, "I'm rebelling, and also that looks terrible, so I'm not doing it." My hair was just not going to help, uh, in my wish to have the beautiful curly mess. I just thought it was so free, and it looked so, like, interesting and dynamic, but no, my hair was like, "Nah, not gonna work." The Menendez brothers' prison release may be in limbo after LA County DA George Gascon has lost re-election. Eric and Lyle Menendez's future is uncertain after Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon, who recently called for the incarcerated brothers to be resentenced, lost his bid for re-election. Gascon, 70, who has served as LA's district attorney since 2020, was defeated by Republican turned independent Nathan Hochman, the Associated Press confirmed Wednesday, November 6th. The political loss comes after Gascon recommended late last month that Eric, 53, and Lyle, 56, who are currently serving a life sentence for the 1989 murder of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, will be resentenced and added the possibility of parole. Kim Kardashian. Look, I think we have all learned that we don't need any actors telling us what to do. Like, I don't tell you guys what to do. I would never feel, so full of self, I guess, aggrandizement to tell you guys I know and I tell you guys what to do. That's just can we all agree that we don't need the Kardashians to tell us what to do? But I digress. Kim Kardashian, who is an outspoken proponent of prison reform, also called for the brothers' release last month, pointing to their quote exemplary disciplinary records in prison and the years of physical SA and emotional, child badness evidence that was excluded during the Menendez brothers' second trial, which began in 1995. The jury was unable to reach a decision during their first trial, which began in 1993. Gascon's support of the second look for Lyle and Eric's sentence came amid renewed interest in their case, spurred by the fictionalized Netflix series Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, which premiered in September, as well as the streamer's documentary, The Menendez Brothers. With Gascon set to leave before December 11th hearing on a potential resentencing of the brothers, they could face challenges trying to get released. During last month's DA debate, Hochman called Gascon's interest in the case quote-unquote suspicious. Per Deadline, Hochman's comments suggest that he might not take up the mantle of pursuing clemency for the Menendez brothers. Eric's wife, Tammy Menendez, previously spoke out via X about feeling grateful to Gascon for his courage to seek resentencing for her husband, but with a caveat. Naturally, I'm disappointed he did not go further and act on his own belief that Eric and Lyle had served enough time in prison. Tammy also shared her hope that Eric will be released in time for his next birthday, the upcoming holiday season. Only 22 days until Eric's birthday. Let's not allow him to spend another birthday, Thanksgiving, or Christmas behind bars, she wrote via X on Tuesday, November 5th. It's time for someone to step up and do what's right. Eric and Tammy have been married since 1999, while Lyle married Rebecca Sneed in 2003. Lyle was previously married to Anna Erickson from 1996 to 2001. He told ABC News in 2017 that physical comfort is less important to a marriage than one might think, and he shared how he and Sneed sustained their connection. I find I can have a healthy marriage that it's complicated and built around conversation and finding creative ways to communicate, sharing without all the props that are normally there in marriage in terms of going out to dinner and having intimate. Are we talking about internet inmate phone smexy times? I am going to need those recordings for science and to read them and giggle because, well, it just sounds cringe-hilarious. In what in the Hades is going on here, a Penn State professor's girlfriend and her uncle pushed him off a cliff in a $1 million plan. Well, I'm guessing since they're reporting it, they didn't get away with it. Yeah, these two. Well, sir, I hope she looked a lot better when she had makeup on. And that's her uncle? I feel banjos coming on. When 55-year-old Penn State University professor Ronald Betgig was reported missing by his housekeepers on Monday, August 15th, 2016, police began looking into it as a missing persons case. But after they met Ronald's 34-year-old girlfriend, Danielle Greer, and her 41-year-old uncle, George Ishler, at Biggs State College, Pennsylvania home, they immediately became suspicious. Quote, I think Danielle, her moving in, becoming a girlfriend, I think that was planned from the beginning, said former State College detective Christopher Weaver on Snapped, airing Sundays on Oxygen. For her to get in there and form a fake relationship and gain his trust, they were going to exploit that. Greer and Ishler told police they had been with, Donald at the beach in Delaware the last time they had seen him on August the 12th. Then the trio returned to his home. Greer said she went to bed that night, and when she woke up, the professor was gone. Oh, where'd he go? Maybe he's in a suitcase, asks Sarah Boone. Hide and seek is real. They indicated he was depressed over the loss of his wife from several years prior, Weaver said, and he was having some mental health issues. They thought something bad had happened to Ronald. 2 days later, police found Ronald's vehicle abandoned near an abandoned limestone quarry. A search found his body at the bottom of a 90-foot drop. It was our pathologist's conclusion that he actually survived the fall. Oh, God bless. Said prosecutor Bernie Cantora on Snapped. He survived for approximately 2 days. All right. Could all Lord Chippy attendants please turn on extra slow? We have 2 candidates, possible, boyfriend and girlfriend or uncle and, niece. Craziness, probably a weird thing. Who knows? But was it an accident, self-deletion, or murder? Keep reading to see what police uncovered. Ronald moves Danielle into his home. When Ronald's second wife died unexpectedly in 2011, friends and family said it sent him into a depression. I know how deeply he loved her, said Fred, Ron's brother, on Snapped. And he would tell me all the time how much he missed her, and he was losing weight, he wasn't going out, and there's also the point where he started to have some memory issues. By 2015, Ronald's health problems became so severe he was no longer able to teach and took a sabbatical. During that time, he became friends with George Ishler, who he met at a local smoke shop. Ishler told Ronald about his troubled niece, Danielle Greer, who was struggling to make ends meet with a young child and was homeless. In 2016, just 7 months before he died, Ron offered her a room inside his house, and their relationship quickly went from friendly to romantic. The life force was starting to come back to him. He had purpose, Fred said. And as he started having more and more conversations with Danielle, I think he was also starting to have feelings for her as well. Greer had lost custody of her first son to her ex-husband and was currently raising her second son alone. Daniel told us that Ron took care of her, fed her, and gave her shelter, said Brian Wakefield, a former Pennsylvania police investigator on Snapped, and was paying for much of the items needed to raise her child. George Ishler and Danielle Greer blame each other for Dr. Ronald's death. Soon after his body was found, George Ishler contacted the police and shared his suspicion that his niece was involved in the professor's death, claiming there had been tension between the couple while on vacation. He also suggested that Danielle had another man over to Ron's house while Ron was missing that weekend. Uh, and it really seems to turn suspicion on Danielle for being responsible for Ron's death. But the police interviewed Danielle and she pointed the finger at her uncle. She said she had nothing to do with it, Cantora said, and she says George Ishler threatened to kill her and she's afraid for the life of her child. The reason Greer said Ishler wanted Ron dead, money. She told the police was to go to the beach in Delaware to get it. Danielle tells a story that George Ishler was going down there to get money because he owes the professor money. He was mad at George Ishler because he discovered the fact that he'd been using his credit card for purchases that he hadn't authorized. Greer claims that Ishler was unable to come up with money, but he offered the professor marijuana plants he was growing by the quarry. Greer told police that the trio and her child drove to the quarry, and Ishler and Ron left to harvest the plants when Ishler came back alone. That's when she said, she asked George, "Where's Ron?" And he said, I killed him, and if you say anything about it to anyone, I'm going to unalive you too. I'm going to unalive your son," said defense attorney Deborah Lux on Snapped. George Ishler confessed that he did unalive, Dr. Ron, but calls Daniel Greer the mastermind. When police again interviewed George, he confessed to the murder, but claimed that Danielle was the mastermind behind the plot. Neither of you are masterminds. None. Not one. No, usually I have my blinds completely shut, but my nose is in all its glory today. What can you say? I do in fact have sunlight in my room. It's just if I turn all of the lights on, then I start looking like Galadriel, uh, just glowing from the inside, you know, people that can't tan problems. His next statement to me was like, Danielle talked me into it. Danielle convinced me to unalive him. He said Danielle wanted Ron's money because of the will. He explained to us that he had written a will knowing that Ron's mental state seemed to be diminishing. Ron had signed it. The will provided motive for Danielle Greer to want Ron Betgig dead. The will says that Daniel will inherit Ron's home and George will become the executor of the remainder of his estate. Danielle Greer thought he would have about $1 million in Disney stocks, and she believed she was going to be the recipient, although the stock, as of late, turns out to only be worth $50,000. Ishler alleged that after Ron discovered he'd been charging his credit card, Greer's relationship wasn't in jeopardy. The whole thing was coming to an end, and Danielle wasn't going to have anywhere to go and be out on the street with her baby. Both Ishler and Greer were tried together and found guilty of first-degree murder in April 2018. The life sentence in prison would be without the possibility of parole. You know what I don't like about these Snapped episodes is we don't get to see the trial. And I always have questions. How did the jury, figure out that Danielle was the mastermind? Though because they were caught, it would seem that neither of them are the mastermind. I don't know. But that's just my opinion. But I don't like the Snapped episodes because I can't see the trial. But they do get me interested in the trials. And I will try to see if this one was televised, because it might be a fun one to do a speed run on. Let me get. So this was in. See if that one is streamed and we can look at that together. Because I do often wonder in cases that have, kind of a mastermind and a patsy, if you want to say that, how does the jury parse that out? How does the jury decide, okay, well, it was definitely Danielle, pulling the strings in the background. How do they get that? Because sometimes these particular, shows don't show kind of I'm a trial nerd. I just want to watch the trial. Now, in happy news, for those of us, well, that, maybe having a hard time or having a great time or just a middle time or just look like they're glowing and have, you know, a line on their face. Apparently, this hippie drug could boost sexual pleasure for months after it's taken, and it makes people happier with their looks too. How the hell do I get like 19 pounds of this crap? Oh my god, could you imagine me with no self-consciousness? Mo to 11,000? This would be terrible or awesome. I'd have to use the light side of the Force. I would have to remain a Jedi and not a Sith. This is a hard thing to do. Taking magic mushrooms, LSD, or other psychoactive compounds can improve your enjoyment of the smexy time, feelings of arousal, and sense of attraction to your partner for up to 6 months after a psychedelic experience. A UK study has been found. Why do I never get picked for these studies? No, I get picked for the study where it's like, would you like to take two drugs that we're not sure are quite effective for pain? What are the side effects? Mild hair loss, ringing in your ears, irritability, the trots, possible erectile dysfunction. Well, I'm a chick. Well, it's 2024. Hysterical blindness, possible sweating. Okay, so have you checked that it fixes pain at anything? Well, we have to have, test subjects. It worked on mice. How did they tell you they weren't hurting anymore? Hey, it worked on mice. Would you like to try it? No, thanks. Hysterical blindness is where you lost me. Also the trots, but thank you so much. Let's see. On the surface, this type of research may seem quirky. Study author Tomaseo Barbara said, "When are we going to? You know what? I like this study, so I'm going to believe it." When the research was published in the Journal of Scientific Reports, but the psychological aspects of sexual function, including how we think about our own bodies, our attraction to our partners, and our ability to connect with people intimately, are all important to psychological well being in sexually active adults. So if I take this, I'll want to keep the lights on. Interesting thought. And honestly, I mean, dear Lord, I would just like to have longer than 5 minutes without someone knocking. Do you know where dad is? Dad, where's dad? Mom, are you sleeping? Dad, I'm finding dad. It's not a Marvin Gaye record. It's a little hard to get in the mood when you have that, or the judgmental cat just looking at you, judging you. One day I will truly horrify them. It is a life goal. It is. This research is from the Center for Psychedelic Research at the Imperial College of London, and that they asked 261 participants to fill out a questionnaire before their psychedelic experience and at 4 weeks and 6 months. Again, I will move to England for a couple of weeks. I want to be in this study. We need a redux study. I am willing. I volunteer as tribute.
Ooh, kitty.
Two types of volunteers took part in the research: people taking psychedelics for recreational or wellness reasons, and those participating in a small clinical trial evaluating psilocybin, the compound found in magic mushrooms, for depression. Participants taking psychedelics for fun had a significant boost in their views of SMEX as a spiritual or sacred experience, satisfaction with their own appearance, and delight in their partner and the experience of pleasure. Meanwhile, nearly half of the participants taking psilocybin reported improvements in sexual arousal, interest, and satisfaction with SMEX. People taking the antidepressant Lexapro, on the other hand, experienced decreases in sexual function. We believe this is the first scientific study to explore the effects of psychedelics on sexual functioning. I'm pretty sure the 70s was an entire large group project working on that, but this is probably the first clinical one. I am so very jealous. I am looking into this as an alternative treatment too. But Indiana just a few years back, this is what I'm dealing with. Indiana finally decided that we could buy booze on Sunday, but only afternoon. the craziest thing I've ever heard. So I doubt that these will be, Indiana approved anytime soon. This is particularly significant given that sexual dysfunction is often induced by antidepressants, frequently resulting in people stopping taking these medications and subsequently relapsing. Barbara's team observed that neither the dual studies found a significant change in the participants' importance or perceived importance of sex after the psychedelic experience. However, limitations of the study included data being based on survey answers and participants being mostly, you know, white, well educated, and straight. Some 28% of Americans, let's see here, Americans have tried at least one of 7 psychedelic drugs, including LSD, psilocybin, ketamine, and ecstasy at some point in their life, according to polling from 2022. Colorado and Oregon have legalized or decriminalized psychedelic mushrooms, but Massachusetts voters rejected a ballot measure on Tuesday that would have legalized 5 mind-altering drugs, including psilocybin. Dang it! I was gonna visit Flux, and we were gonna go, like, tripping balls. Damn it. I'm just kidding. We had no such plans, but one day I will visit Flux. Unfortunately, we won't be doing mushrooms. But chink. Can you imagine me? Holy cow. I have no filter now. The things I would say. Holy fazoli's. In Where is the Justice? Who's Talking Ish? A man killed a pregnant woman, cousins at a family cookout, and he could be out of prison very soon. A 51-year-old man in Michigan. Michigan, you are 2 for 2 to this day. Holy goodness, Michigan. Will be going to jail for unaliving 3 of his cousins, one of whom was pregnant, fatally shooting the trio during a summer cookout 2 years ago. Juan M. Morales pled no contest on Monday to 1 count of manslaughter and 1 count of using 1 count. You took 3 people. What are these plea deals? And 1 count of using a firearm to commit a felony, or records reviewed by Law and Crime shows. Morales was initially charged with 3 counts of each of open murder and felony firearm possession, but pled to the lesser charges after reaching a deal with Saginaw County Prosecutor's Office. The no contest plea means that Morales did not admit his guilt, but conceded that the state had enough evidence to get a conviction at trial. Laura Benita, Mariano Escareno, and Rafael J. Rafa Campos were all related to each other and Morales, and all died of multiple, freedom seed wounds. Bendia was 6 months pregnant at the time, but doctors were able to save her baby. Of all the sadness in this case, the fact that he attacked family members, one life is not worth more than another, but I am glad for the family that the baby was able to survive. It's not political, but can you imagine how healing it is for, the mothers, the family members that lost people to just hold that little miracle baby? It's amazing. So right when the youngest, most feral was born, my mother-in-law unfortunately lost her sister in a car accident. It was completely a shock. They were very, very close. And I remember distinctly being, at the funeral and her kind of just losing it. And I handed her youngest, most feral when he was still, quietish. And she went up to thank me because I didn't think anything about it. I just, kind of handed it to her because sometimes you just need like a cuddly little guy to hold. And she said, "I really appreciated that." And my father-in-law came over and said, "That was really a special thing to do." And I just thought, well, I know I calm down when I hold the little feral. I mean, this was before he came into his feral powers. His feral powers are great, but I go on to say that just because I've seen from experience that it can really help. It doesn't take away the pain, it's still there, but it definitely gives you something to kind of just be calm about. Now, according to a report from MLive, Morales appeared before Saginaw County Circuit Judge Darnell Jackson, who he said planned to sentence the convicted felon or the convicted killer with an advisory sentencing guide, which means a term between 3 to 8 years. He killed 3 people, 3 to 8 years. Look, I get criminal justice reform. I get I get it. I would not like children or people that have made a dumb mistake. Like, say, I hate it so much, but drunk driving, and you really turn your life around and you do that, I'm okay with that not sending you to jail for life. Or, you shoplifted a piece of candy when you were 16, or, you're having a really rough time, so you stole something, and we kind of get that. But a dude that blew away 3 of his cousins, 3 to 8 years? Are you flipping kidding me? This is why. I'm warning you. This is why you are going to see the greatest pendulum swing back to 3 strikes you are out you have ever seen. And unfortunately, you squandered the real first time where you had a bunch of people that agree, that look at the trial courts, that look at what's going on, these sentences, and, locking people up for BS, having the devil's lettuce when it's mostly, not deregulated, but mostly permissible in most states. You know, you took the chance you had where you had a lot of people open-minded that, you know, we don't wanna see kids over-penalized. We don't wanna see people who made a bad choice over-penalized. Are there things we can do? We don't wanna do a prison or school to prison pipeline. Are there things we can do? And then you do stuff like this, or you let people that dismembered people all over Long Island out on cashless bond, and you wonder why, because people are going to wonder why you are going to have that pendulum swing right on back to 3 strikes, you're out. You guys squandered them. You squandered this, you had a bunch of people that could look at the system and agree, and you, instead of taking, rational, thoughtful path, no, you're like, "Everybody can go free, have fun with that." According to okay, there we go. Since Morales has been incarcerated since his October 2022 arrest, it is possible that he will serve less than a year in prison after he is formally sentenced. As Long Crime previously reported, Morales, about 2:30 a.m. on June 5th, 2023, went to Bendia's house, or her parents' house. Bendia's older sister told investigators that Morales was their cousin, but he was not amongst the family members invited to the cookout. However, Morales' sister did attend the event. During the evening, Morales' sister and another woman got into an argument stemming from the other woman claiming that Morales had SA'd her several years earlier. At some point in time during the dispute, Morales' sister called Morales' wife, and a short time later, Morales showed up in a minivan. Quote, "Who's talking ish?" Morales said as he exited the vehicle with his sister and her husband. The witness testimony reported different as to whether Morales or the people at the party shot first. At the time Morales arrived at the residence, Benio's sister said that Benio and the other victims were in the backyard of the home cleaning up. Her sister had only been inside a short while when she heard 8 loud gunshots. Morales' sister reportedly testified that she was walking behind her brother when they opened fire. Morales suffered a gunshot wound to the abdomen, and her sister's husband was shot in the hand. Law enforcement and medical personnel responded to the scene where Campos and Mariano Escarino were reportedly pronounced not alive. Bendia was rushed to a local hospital where she unfortunately succumbed to her wounds. However, she was not due for another approximate 3 months, but doctors were able to safely deliver her baby. The newborn, named Rosalinda L. Bendia, reportedly weighed less than 3 pounds when she was born and had to remain in the hospital until September 13th, when she was discharged to the care of her grandparents. 2 years later, the child's father told MLive that Rosalina is doing wonderful. Before the 2022 shooting, Morales spent 2 years in prison on 5 years on probation for reportedly pistol whipping his ex-wife and shooting his brother on November. 2 years for shooting his brother? Why is this man out of prison? I thought the whole thought was, we rehabilitate those that we can, and we keep safe from society those that we can't. They are going to let this man out in one daggone year, and then he will probably find a way to get a force multiplier illegally and be a menace again. What are we doing here? In our last story, the man with Skittles hair, well, he looks like he's gonna try to get a deal. Rapper Tekashi 69 strikes a deal to end jail stint. If you guys remember, this is an update to my last story where he showed up like 2 hours late and high AF. So the judge was not having any of this and sent him to, ye old jail. Rapper Tekashi 69 struck a deal to end his current jail stint, agreeing to serve a month behind bars for violating the terms of his release after a felony conviction, prosecutors said Wednesday. The deal with federal prosecutors was described in a letter partially endorsed by the Manhattan federal judge. It calls for the entertainer to be sentenced to a month in jail, followed by a month of home incarceration, a month of home detention, a month of curfew. He will also be subjected to electric monitoring. Judge Paul E. Engelmeyer said that he will sentence the former, whose real name is Daniel Hernandez, immediately after he admits to the violations on a November 12th hearing. Well, since he is in the jail, at least he will show up on time this time. The term of the deal also calls for Tekashi 69 to submit to supervision from the court's probation department for another year. Tekashi 69, 28, was within a few months of being free from court supervision when he was arrested on October 29th after his probation officer complained that he wasn't following the rules about obtaining permission in advance to travel and that he had failed drug tests. I can't imagine why you would think he would fail a drug test. In April 2020, Tekashi 69 was freed months early from his prison sentence after complaining that his ailments made him particularly susceptible to the coof, which was spreading through the nation's jails and prisons. Engelmeyer, expressing dismay at the artist's apparent failure to follow the rules, noted in a hearing last month that he granted compassionate release to him during the, coof. The rapper apologized and told the judge he's, quote, not a bad person. Well, there you go. Take Tekashi 69's word for it. Now, hopefully I will not you guys won't be able to hear it, but you can see this Daredevil doing, I can only imagine, it's good you can't hear it because I think this music is copyrighted, but dear Lord, do not let my youngest, most feral see this. Yes, a British daredevil decided to drag himself behind a motorcycle at 159 miles per hour. Again, things women would not do. Just things women would not think about, or at least not me. A British daredevil was intentionally dragged behind his motorcycle at a speed of 190 or 59.52 miles per hour to break a Guinness World Record. Johnny Davies took on the challenge at the Ultimate Supercar Show and planted his feet on the ground behind his modified Kawasaki Ninja H2SX on the tarmac at Elvington Airfield in Yorkshire, England. His motorcycle was clocked at going 159, ish miles during the stunt, earning him a Guinness World Record for the fastest speed dragged behind a motorcycle. This sounds like a Darwin Award event. The previous record of 156.3 miles per hour was set by British stunt rider Gary Rothwell in 1999. I knew it was the fastest I had ever gone because the wind was so strong. My foot actually came off the floor because the wind went under it. It was a feeling I've never felt before, even in practice. No, do not do this. Please, Lord, do not do this. Hello, all of you Shizzy Raiders. So some housekeeping today. Let's see. I do have the CRPS Ask Me Anything stream at noon. It will be iffy whether I do nightly newsy news. Dingus, lovely Dingus, decided to misjudge uh, landing on my leg and scratch the heck out of my left leg, which means Hagatha has the bitch fire going. Hagatha is mad. I'm glad that.
Your way.
Aren't you supposed to be cleaning your room?
No,
Go clean your room.
no.
Told youngest most feral, I just need an hour. All you have to do is, give me an hour and I will be done with this and, we can do some stuff. But this month, November, is Chronic Pain Awareness Month. It doesn't have to be CRPS, chronic pain syndrome. It used to be called RDS, uh, reflex sympathetic dystrophy, and it's not very well known. It kind of rose into popular prominence with the Maya Kowalski case. I did follow that. I watched a bit. It was really hard to listen to, and there are some links to from your emotion to the parasympathetic nerve system, which is what CRPS affects. Or so you can also get, flare ups if you get too, hyperstimulated or things like that. But I'll kind of give you an overview of what it is. I'll give you the embarrassing but hilarious story about, how I got hurt, kind of my thoughts about how the medical system deals with, you know, um, s- chronic pain people, different things. It's a shenanigan stream. I figured we needed a little bit of a palate cleanser because, I'm anxious about Delphi. Some people are not having a great week, depending on how, you know, the whole election thing went. So we need kind of a palate cleanser. And like Kim Kardashian says, I have a platform. I must speak for the little people. I'm just kidding. But, I do have people that listen to me, and if I can help one person maybe have a little bit more grace with someone who has an invisible disease or make someone who has, chronic pain feel like they're not more alone, you know, uh, it's always a good thing. I know that when I started streaming, I felt very alone, but people came up and shared their stories of what they were dealing with. And it's always really good to just kind of connect with people and be authentic and kind of give them a real idea of what things go because, the Maya trial was good for kind of giving an overview, but, it really doesn't always quite cover the whole life thing, how your life changes when this happens. So, thank you so much, Mel, for your super chat. Much love and respect. Well, right back at you. I enjoy doing this so very much, and I appreciate every one of you guys for showing up in the morning. It really is absolutely motivating on mornings when, I don't want to get up. I want to just lay in bed. It's really, really motivating to know that, I can do something I really like and people enjoy it. And it's a place where people can kind of, get in here, have fun, learn some headlines, learn some true crime headlines, and not have to worry about all the, shenanigans on other news. But I will see you guys in a little bit. I do have to take youngest, most feral to the doctor because I believe someone has spinal tap ADHD 11. Uh, oh gosh, ADHD, and I need to talk to the doctor about like what else can we do. And thank you for gifting a membership, Vince Clortho, and that went to Volpe Fox. So welcome to the Church of Mo. We have dark chocolate sarcasm and all the things. I am working on some merch, especially the bitch fire merch because I don't know, but I made a spray can making fire and like heck, I'm not going to get a daggone t-shirt with that. Even if I'm the only one that wears it, I will daggone wear my bitch fire thing. Probably not around my mother. She's not a fan of cursey words. Although, I mean, never mind. I'm not going to say that. She doesn't get my deep and abiding love of the cursey word t-shirt, but, it is my love language, and I will write a book about how cursey word, t-shirts always should be considered a love language. Have a wonderful day. I am going to run him to his doctor's appointment, and then I will be back for that stream. So have a great day. I will be back in a little bit. I did redirect you to that stream, but you are in no way obligated to stay there. Go wild, go be wild and free on the internet. Although, if you're going to be super wild and free, make sure you're incognito mode. That's Mama Mo says. Bye, you guys.